Hey guys, we're back for another episode with Shelly. I know it looks like Shell and everyone messes it up, but it's Shelly. All right. So we're going to talk about traveling with epilepsy because Grace and I get these questions a lot about what to do, what to bring with us, if we even can, how we can, all that stuff. And it seems like she's done quite a bit of traveling, a lot more than either one of us have. So she'll be the answers for this one. Not for everybody, but these are just her point of view. She's not giving you medical advice, just to put that out there. Okay. So anything you'd like to introduce yourself with, Shelly, please go ahead and introduce yourself to the people that are listening to us.
Hi, my name's Chelle. I am a nurse, and so I've traveled with nursing as well as hiking. I really like to go on adventures and have kind of worked myself up from just going a couple hours away to going on 4 and 5 day backpacking trips and just kind of traveling all around to different states. So yeah, ask me your questions.
That's really cool. Because hiking is something that my boyfriend really likes to do. And we've done a couple, little bit of things, but I get so tired so quickly from all the meds that I'm like, how would I do this for days?
Yes. It is. I really had to work up to it. And I feel like so much of it is how much do you want to do it as well. I mean, not everyone can kind of say that. It also depends on how many medications you take and what kind of seizures you have. But I really had to, I started off with like 15-minute walks right next to my house, like at the park. It was not like I was like, oh, one day I'm going to go climb Angel's Landing at Zion and it's going to be fine. It was like a very long process.
And I know my friend that doesn't have epilepsy. She goes to Zion and at the Grand Canyon, all that fun stuff. She said she had to work up to it too. So that's not just something that, for those listening, just because you have epilepsy doesn't mean you're a piece of crap and out of shape or anything like that. It's like,
no,
it's
not at all.
Yeah, it's not, that's not what she was saying at all. I don't want you to think that, like, or that you came off that way, just for, the few that might be offended out there. That's not what
don't be offended. It wasn't just me having epilepsy. It was mostly me just being a couch potato.
I mean, I also struggle with that. I don't know how much that's going to change, and hopefully changing a little bit soon. But as of right now, I kind of live in the middle of nowhere, so there aren't really good places to go and try it out unless I have someone with me or anything, which can make it difficult, especially if you can't do it every day.
Yeah.
You'll do it like one day and get that like, oh, I did it. And then the next 3 days I'm laying on the couch.
Yes, I feel that.
Yeah. So a lot of questions that we get from people are like, when they're going on trips, how many meds should they take with them? Or how many days worth of meds? I always take an extra day or two, depending on where I'm going. Like if it's a beach trip a couple hours away from me, I usually take an extra 2 days just in case something happens, like we're really stuck in traffic or, we end up staying a day longer than we were expecting. That's just what I do. And I know, Bree, like when you've gone on cruises, you've taken...
I asked for an extra month. And everyone thought I was crazy for doing that. But look at that cruise that got stranded for like that long in the middle of the ocean. That was before. I haven't been on one since that happened, but I mean, that can happen. So, I mean, it's better to be safer and have extras to tuck in your drawer, I think, when you get back than be SOL in the middle of the ocean. So.
Yeah, so when I was travel nursing, I had my meds and then I had like a month in advance, just like you were saying. So I always had medication with me. And then I also had my prescription transferred to the local Target that was close by. So I always had like a month and a half worth of medications with me. And then I always, like in my nursing backpack and in my hiking backpack, I always have at least 1 day's worth of meds that I wasn't like anywhere I go anytime, because I don't know, if you're ever out with like friends and you wind up like wanting to sleep on someone's couch, or, you decide you want to go camp, whatever it is for the night, like it's nice to always have your medications with you and have your dosages. And then other than that, I just plan out, like I have these cool containers that are not quite like the grandma ones, you know what I'm talking about, like the Sunday through Saturday ones. They have these new ones that are like oval shaped, and they have like morning, evening, afternoon, and night, where you can step, and they're like different packages, and they're like an oval shape, and you can take the whole stack with you. I should like share that one because it's really awesome. And I think that
my friend has one too, and I was kind of mind blown by that. I was like, "Whoa, you don't have to bring a brick with you."
Yeah, it was amazing.
Things healthy people don't appreciate. Like,
I know, but it's like, what do you mean? There's 4 little pockets, and it's like in this nice round like container, and it's super easy to carry and portable. What is this science? This magic?
Yeah, I have a little pill container that I just keep, like you said, I should probably put more in. I think I have like half a day's worth, which isn't enough, especially because my meds are different morning and night now that I think about it. But some of my emergency meds get stuck like in the clamp, and it looks like I do coke every once in a while. Like I'll open it up and there's just white powder, and I'm like, if I'm ever searched for anything, they're gonna be like, what's this? And I'm gonna have to be like, that's my medication that is prescribed to me, I promise. But
Yeah. I think that's why I keep my extra day stuff like in my backpack with the prescription label on it.
oh, that's smart.
that's
For
what I
just
do.
one day's worth. Yeah. Just my like truly like my 1 day dose. I think it's also good too, because if you're ever in like a group and they were to search your backpack or your bag and you have your name with like your prescription name on it, it might also kind of clue them into what's going on with you.
Yeah.
If they didn't get it.
Not to cut you off, but depending on where you're traveling, that can be a charge if you just have unmarked meds on you.
Oh, interesting.
It's just narcotic. You can't prove it. It's like,
well, especially my emergency meds are narcotics, so if they're just on me, that's probably
yeah. Marijuana, they don't care. Nice try. You can't bring that state to state, but other than that, yeah, you can if you have the label. I'm sorry to cut you off though. That was something
You
that
cut me off. You're good.
Yeah, that was because I went to the Caribbean with my best friend, and both of us have narcotics technically outside of a prescription, and they were like, make sure you have a label on this, because you can understand why from to and from the Caribbean they'd be like, what are you taking? But
yeah.
So they gave me, they looked at my pills. I have, I think, like 8 different bottles, but I brought, oh, thank you, neighbor, for honking to let me know you live here still. Sorry. There was, they looked at them and they kind of looked at all my 8 pills, and then I had my card because I just had brain surgery, and they're like, gotcha. And I was like, thank you. And I was like,
as if this large scar on the side of my head that's very visible
I was bald
clue you in.
I'm that dedicated to my drug addiction. I painted it on,
That's what I think is
makeup.
Yeah, that's what I think is so crazy too. Like sometimes is that people are like, think that I would take these just to take them. It's like, do you know how crappy I feel on them? Like, no, I don't take these for fun. These aren't the fun ones. A lot of times, like, seizure meds aren't the fun ones. They're you're going to feel really tired all the time for absolutely no reason other than these meds.
They're the ones that
be nauseous for no reason.
That may treat seizures, but may also cause seizures at the same time. So yeah, what fun is that?
Brain fog, moodiness. Oh, and by the way, make you feel a little crazy all the time. Totally all normal side effects because, epilepsy medication was totally developed with epilepsy in mind and not just a
paycheck.
Actually, because I did like some research on this, like almost, I don't think there's a single epilepsy medication that's out there, maybe some newer ones, that was developed with epilepsy in mind. It was just kind of an accident of, oh, this kind of treats seizures. Like it was developed with other
like other neurological disorders in mind.
I think
exactly.
The one brand new one I'm on is designed to treat focal seizures specifically, but I remember like I'm taking gabapentin, and I originally started taking it for migraines, and my epileptologist was like, your seizures are going up a little bit. At the time she was like, you can just add another 100 milligrams and take it daily as a seizure medication as well. So like a lot of seizure medications double as migraine meds.
One
migraine, bipolar.
Yep. I was just going to say my brother was on Depakote for bipolar when they thought he was bipolar back in the day or whatever. And then I found out it could have been one of my meds, and I like saw how much weight he put on with that. And I was like, oh, hell no, I'm not taking that one. Like, but it's weird because like you said, that makes a lot of sense because a lot of Parkinson's disease meds double and stuff, stroke meds. Yeah. We're the last thought, but at least they found out.
We are kind of a side effect of these drugs work for this. It's like meant for this.
Yeah.
But this person had seizures, so I guess
they got
stopped
better. So
yeah.
it got a bit better.
Yeah.
You know, right?
It's crazy.
That's interesting. I don't think I would have ever put that together. But makes sense. So I guess I have to ask the obvious. What happens if you have a seizure while hiking, if you've ever had that happen?
So I've never had like a full drop down, shake, rattle, and roll seizure in the middle of a hike. I am pretty lucky in that most of my really bad seizures are caused by me being stupid, being overtired, pushing myself, like absolutely knowing I'm way too stressed out and
just pissing yourself off that you're stressed out. I know that life.
Yeah. So that's typically, and I'll have had lots of smaller, like either absence or partial complex, because like mine kind of build before I get like a tonic-clonic. So if I ignore all of the warning signs and piss my body off, then I'll have like one of those. So I don't do that. I've kind of learned from my mistakes as far as that goes. I have had a absent seizure or pretty close. And I say pretty close because you never really know when you have an absent seizure.
It's weird. Like, it's like someone else has to tell you, like, you just weren't here for a minute, and you're like, I wasn't. What?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Or like for me, it was, he said that that I told him that I couldn't see out of my eye, and that I sat down, and then I just kind of wasn't really with it for a second. And so I was like, well, yeah, that's probably was an absent. Yeah. Like I can't imagine any other reason why I would say those things. And I don't really remember the hike that much. So that's another kind of clue in right there.
Yeah. It's crazy when those happen, because you sound crazy when you're explaining it to someone. You're like, I just missed time. And they're like, what do you mean? You're
like, I woke up, thought it was the next day. I've had that happen before. And I was like, and they're like, no, it's 5 p.m. And I was like, no, it's 5 a.m. Give my dog breakfast, her meds again. And my mom's like, stop feeding her. This is like her third meal today. And I was like, oh, all right. My bad.
Yeah, I came to in different clothes one time, and that was like the giveaway for me. And I called my mom, and I was like, where are you? She's like, are you okay? I was like, I'm dressed in the kitchen. She had taken my sister to school my senior year of high school. And she was like, well, you just had a seizure. Like, you're not going to school today.
Yeah, it's always very interesting trying to explain like those absent spells of like, sorry, I wasn't there. Basically redo everything that just happened or replay it for me, because I have no idea. But to go back to your question, as far as like hiking goes, I am a really pretty strict believer on like having a person or like a group of people that's very small. Like I don't hike with just anybody that knows what kind of seizures I have and knows me pretty well and knows what to do. Like I don't really think it's safe otherwise for epileptics. And I know that's not what people are going to want to hear. They kind of want to hear like that we're totally normal and we can all work up and do it the same. But the fact is, to be safe and to really do it right, you can't be. I think that you
I am so 100% agreed in that. I didn't want to I was going to keep letting you go, but I was like, yes, I'm sorry. If you were normal, you wouldn't be taking medication. You wouldn't be on disability. I hate, here, I'm just going to get all the needles out and pop your bubble. You're disabled. Get over it. All right. The end.
Yeah, I know so many people who feel like they want to keep doing what they were doing before diagnosis, but the reality is, I mean, there are still things that you can do, but at the same time, there are still things that you need to pause and say, can I still do this? If I can, how can I do it safely? You can still go on a hike, but you need to make sure that you're doing it in a safe way and not being an idiot.
If you watch anything on 48 hours, people are missing going hikes all the time. Don't go by yourself anyway. People disappear in Zion all the time. It's like a really creepy thing.
Oh, no. I would never. The very few solo hikes that I've done, and when I say solo, I mean on a very popular trail where there's 50 other people that I'm passing at all points in time. I'm well labeled. I basically am wearing a sign saying I'm epileptic. Watch out if I drop. It's close to a hospital. All of these things. I do a lot of research. it doesn't necessarily look like it from like a social media standpoint, because we all put things on social media that doesn't really portray all of the ins and outs. But I really, really rely on the people that are close to me, like to be able to do those things. And so I'm pretty dang lucky, because it's something that I've said that's important to me, and the people that have been close to me support it and come with me and are all for it. But they also know me well enough that if I don't seem right, they're like, no, we're not doing that today.
Yeah.
Or you just did this, like, just chill on the couch for the day.
And
that's why I think,
sorry, we keep
go ahead.
at the same damn time, Grace. I swear, we're omni-minded today. I do the same exact thing when I go on cruises, and they're not even extensive vacations. I go with my best friend and her parents usually, because she has fibromyalgia, and they've known me since I was 14. I'm 31 now. They've known me for forever now. They've seen me, my seizures increase to brain surgery. So we go around the world traveling. Like, we're going to go to Australia and New Zealand next year. And I really wouldn't be comfortable going that far around the world away from people if it wasn't for them and they haven't already seen it multiple times. Because it sounds great to go to Australia, but have a seizure in Australia and try to find a healthcare when you're an American citizen. So, right.
Yeah, and I think, again, like, making sure that you're feeling good and people can tell when you're off. Like, I know when you're traveling, especially when you're traveling and you don't travel often, like, you want to go to all the big, like, sightseeing places that you possibly can. But there have been days where I've been traveling. I went to Italy my senior year of high school, the year I was diagnosed, and we were in Rome one day, and I had to stop in the middle of the day and be like, I need to go back and sleep, because I just felt off. I think I'd had a seizure earlier that morning. And I wanted to stay with the group that I was with, but at the same time, luckily my mom was with me, and she's like, I'll go back with you, because it's like, you can't, again, like, hate to burst your bubble, but you can't do everything.
No. And to go again back in a circle to her having, seizures on hikes and stuff, I had one in the middle of the ocean. Not while I was swimming, but we were on the way to Hawaii, and it was like where you're like 4 days in the middle of the ocean with no land around you. And I had this seizure where I just opened my cabin door, and at like 4 a.m, and just nothing on me, no phone, no key, no money, no nothing. And I just wandered and was having a seizure around the ship. And my best friend heard the door slam, and she was like, what the hell, who's coming in our room? And then she looked and noticed I wasn't there, and she like went searching around the ship for me. But thankfully she noticed that. But it does happen. And I mean, that was my first cruise ever. I was probably way too excited, probably like, something. I wasn't drinking. I don't drink. I got over that, but I probably ate way too much food, something, you know what I mean? It was something stupid, but still it happens, because I took my meds. I did, everything that I was supposed to do. I wasn't stressed. I was going to Hawaii, but whenever they want to show up, they want to show up. Let's just say that.
Especially if you're out of your routine at all, they'll be like, oh, hi, nice to see you. And you're like,
what's up? You thought you were normal? Nah, girl.
I know. It's like, we wanted to come on this vacation too. That's pretty much how I view with them. They're just like, we wanted to make a pit stop here. I haven't had one where I was doing anything necessarily fun. Like when I went to the Caribbean, when I was like in the middle of the Caribbean Sea or like anything, thankfully, knock on wood, please don't show up next trip. But it was kind of nice, because my friend that knows me and that has fibromyalgia, she's like, how about these next 2 days we just relax in the room and watch TV? And I'm like, okay, cool. Thank you. I needed that, because I was feeling guilty. I'm like, well, I just ruined their entire trip. I'm like, they're going to be terrified that I'm going to have another one doing anything now. And they kind of were, but not to the point where they didn't let me do anything. But if I was just kind of feeling like, they were like, go to your room. I was like, all right, fine. So they at least, they cut me off too. Like you were saying, they're just like, no, go. I'm like, okay.
Yeah. Aren't those people amazing? Like it's so funny how like, and not everyone listening, I guess, necessarily have found those people, but I promise you'll find those people that are super amazing, like in your life, that kind of make up for the fact that you have epilepsy in the first place, because they watch over you and kind of keep you in check, and at the same time provide like this great companionship that you wouldn't necessarily get if you were completely normal. So I don't know. I feel like
Again, we did
And
it, Bree. Sorry.
no, again, we're omni-minded. Oh my God. This is what happens when you hang out with Nick for a few days. You miss me so much. I totally lost what I was saying, making fun of your boyfriend. I'm sorry. What were you gonna say, Grace? I totally lost it making fun of Nick. I'm sorry.
Oh, speaking of my boyfriend, I was just gonna say he's kind of that person that I found who I can like, we'll be doing something, we'll have this, idea that comes up, and it's like I have a seizure or I'm really exhausted and didn't get enough sleep, and he just stops what he's doing and he's like, "You need your sleep. Like we can do that another time." And then I feel guilty. I'm like, "But we were supposed to do this," and I feel bad. And he's like, "Shut up."
Yeah, that's again hard to find in partners too, because
Yeah.
you feel guilty, friends, you feel guilty. Like I've had friends that they're getting married, their honeymoons have had to been pushed off because of seizures and stuff like that. And like you said, not everybody gets that, but you will find that person eventually. I've had exes break up with me over seizures and stuff like that, and because now it's going public. But but yeah, it's not that you can't do stuff, you can't not travel. And like she said, she's a nurse, a travel nurse, so we all know how hard nurses work. So you can work with epilepsy, but it still comes with limitations. I'm sure like there are times when you've had to call off work as well.
I've had a call off of work. I've had basically to change my job, change the time. Like I've had to change the environment that I work in. Like I've had to do the things that I do. I have had to make it work, and I wouldn't be able to do it without the people that I have in my life. Seriously, like I can't say like, oh, it's because I figured out all these amazing things. Like, and I have the secret key to epilepsy. It's not that at all. In fact, like after that travel assignment, I'm going to be completely honest. I was so dead and wiped. I was going to stay longer. I couldn't. I had a seizure while I was there and had to come home. I again had to come back, and my EEGs were not good. I've had to change my medication, and now actually I'm considering getting surgery in November of this year for myself, for neurosurgery. So it's not like I am this person that has everything figured out. It's just that it's something that's so important to me, and people are very supportive in my life that I've been able to continue to do it. So I guess I think that would be my biggest thing to tell anyone that's traveling with epilepsy, is that you can do it if you make it a priority, but you have to stay safe. Like, don't think that because what you see on Instagram or what you see on YouTube or anything else that we are like, that I haven't had a seizure recently. That's not the case.
Exactly. Like if I ask my doctors before I go if I'm okay to go, and they will tell me hell no, because I have the RNS in my head. So it's like, I'll go, and then I won't have a seizure. I send it to them 4 days later, and they're like, okay, so why are you in there? I can't hide it anymore. So I'm honest. And what good does it do to you lying to your epileptologist, to be honest with you? But it's really stupid when people do that. I'm going to call you out right now. I don't get why you people do that. That's why you're still having seizures. Fun fact. All right. So, yeah, it's, they send me meds. They tell me if they honestly think it's a good idea, if they don't think it's a good idea, if they're comfortable with it. I think when I'm going to be in, because the trip to Australia and New Zealand's like a month, which is pretty brutal. I'm not going to lie. I'm a little nervous. It's the longest trip I've ever been on. But I if they say no, I'm not going to go, even if I want to go. Unfortunately, it's stupid, because if they say no, it's because my epilepsy is not good enough to go. And just because, like she said, just because I've gone places before doesn't mean like I didn't have a seizure maybe like 2 weeks ago. So it happens.
Yeah, it's a part of our everyday life, and kind of working around it, and and being safe.
Unfortunately, you have to put your health before anything else. I mean, as much as it sucks sometimes, because you really want to do something and you look at it and it's like, but I shouldn't. And I mean, I feel that way, honestly, sometimes with just like drinking at a restaurant. Like people around me are drinking, and like, I'm like, can I have a water? And I'm like that person.
Oh, no.
And I went to a restaurant with my boyfriend the other day, and it was named after an alcohol. And like, so we're there, and the waiter comes up and he's like, what can I get you? And I was like, can I have a soda?
That's me.
And I just like, and you want to be able to be like, oh, I'll try these alcohols while I'm at this place known for this alcohol. But at the same time, it's like, but I can't risk it. No matter how much I want to, I can't.
Yeah. And I think what was my defining moment of that decision was, this is going to sound stupid, but I was like 19 or 20 and I was like, oh, I don't have the Grand Malls, the tonic clonic ones. I was like, they're not that bad. So I might have had them the whole time. Nobody knew, but I drank, didn't care, and I threw myself into status like an asshole. So I kind of earned it. I'm not gonna lie. So, and that's when it kind of made me take it seriously a little bit more. But then when my doctors really told me that I had a 6-minute Grand Mal and tonic clonic or whatever, I was like, whoa. I was like, those are deadly. I'm like, I'm not, I don't screw around with it at all. Like, went to the Caribbean, they make their own rum down there, looks fantastic. They're all drunk and happy walking around on stilts, like what's legal in my state is not legal down there, but I wish I had it down there. But I'm jealous. Everyone around me can drink and stuff. I'm like, this looks great to try it. So I'm with my friend again, and her mom's like, just take a sip of it. She's like, I'll beat your ass if you drink too much. I'm like, all right, fair enough. So I took a sip of it. She's like, done? I was like, yep. She's like, all right, go away. And I was like, okay. And she's like, she's like, you tried it. Is that all you wanted? I was like, yeah. She's like, did you want to get drunk? I was like, not really. I don't miss it. She's like, well, there you go. She's like, I think you can wet your lips with it and like have an okay day. I'm like, yeah, you're probably right. But honestly, I'm terrified of my epilepsy taking over my vacations sometimes.
It can be something that has definitely scared me in the past, especially before my seizures are as well controlled as they are now. Like, I'm the type of person who down in like big cities with crosswalks, like people around me jaywalk. My sister has made fun of me for this, but I always go with the crosswalk. And she's like, why are you doing that? Ever since my diagnosis. And I said, because if I have a seizure and wander into the street, at least people will be expecting somebody here. And it won't be like the middle of the, like I'm the person who crosses the street to get to another crosswalk instead of like just continuing, when they're so stupid where they're like, the one crosswalk is on the left and the next street is like on the right. So you have to cross the street, and then it's so stupid. But I'm that person because I'm like, if I have a seizure and wander into traffic, I want it to be somewhere where they're expecting someone and not the middle of nowhere.
And I'm the only time I will say I'm kind of an idiot with it is I love water. You can't keep me out of the water. So I just fly off of boats into water and stuff. And like, I have no problem swimming. I've always been great at swimming. So don't care.
As long as you're around people who know what to look for, I think you're fine with that.
Then there's like my best friend paddling after me like a puppy, like, stop it. I'm like, I'm sorry. But
this is the part where I would interject, but I can't swim. So that's on the bucket list to learn. Like I can puppy paddle, but like I'm basically safe unless I have a seizure, but then I'm really not safe because I can't swim for shit.
Just stay like near the beach, right on the edge.
On the shore.
Yeah.
Thank you. Sure.
You're welcome. Gotcha.
I'm just gonna look at the pretty water. No, I really want to learn how to swim. I think the thing is about hiking is that like I like in my 20s and stuff like that, like I didn't get diagnosed until later in life. And I had 3 years ago to be exact. So, and before that, like I kind of lived everything pretty normally, but I was like that person that felt like I had to do everything exactly right in my life and follow like an exact formula and like overworked. And I don't know, I didn't do anything fun. I didn't try to experience anything. And then I wound up having a huge seizure at work from work, like basically overworking myself. Well, that's not the reason, but you know, those.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah.
It was the build up to like the huge tonic-clonic in the middle of the floor in the ER that I was working.
I mean, at least people around you know what to do.
But they actually don't. Okay, so here's the secret about nurses. I'm not gonna lie, is that like when we see people have a seizure, like yeah, we know what it is, but it doesn't mean like it's not the same thing, especially ER nurses, because we only see the side of it of like when you're in status or like you're post-ictal. Or maybe you're seizing and like we give you a dose of Ativan. But as far as like actually knowing anything about seizures, nothing. Because we don't go to neurologists. Like we don't really review like medications. We don't know anything about EEGs. Like that's all stuff that's after you have your seizures.
Right.
So all we know how to do is kind of treat the emergent situation. And if you were to like run into a nurse on the street and have a seizure, they would call 911 just like anyone else. Like they wouldn't think first to look for your emergency med or anything else.
What's up, Nick? I'm just kidding. But
And that's
like,
actually one of the first things that I asked him. I was like, do you know what to do if I have a seizure? And he's like, And I told him, I was like, here, read this.
no, but
feel
it
like-
makes sense though, because every time I go back to the monitoring unit, it's the same nursing staff. So it's like those
Mhm.
ones know what to do.
Mhm.
So that
Versus
makes
like a
sense.
bunch of ER nurses are like, what the fuck? Especially like if it's a friend, or they're like, what's wrong with
And
you? Or are you on
yeah.
drugs? Nope, I'm having a seizure, guys.
I
It's
was
fine.
in status and went to the ER down the street, like literally walking distance to my house, and they were like, mom's like, she's having another seizure, and they're like, okay. And I'm like, and they're like, she's having another one. They're like, I heard you, okay. And so they don't know what to do. Makes kind of sense though.
Yeah, I had a really, so like there's a good hospital to go to that like my neurologist is through, and then there's like a bad hospital, and they're like equal distances from my house. I went to the bad hospital one time and they worked me up for a stroke while I was from a clinic and gave me TPA. Yeah, that was fun. So I refuse to now go to that hospital and now only go to the good hospital that understands that, seizures are a thing.
Yeah, probably a good idea. When I had my first seizure, it was a 20-minute absent seizure, and my mom had no clue what was going on. And she thought maybe it had been like a stroke or something. She wasn't sure. And she took me to a hospital pretty close to my house. And she mentioned to the ER doctor at the time that she thought it could be a stroke. And the doctor was like, maybe. Like, didn't say, oh, there's a thing like a seizure like this. Like, it was literally like I have no clue. Maybe it's this. And I was like, looking back now, I'm like, you don't know what an absent seizure is?
I feel like there's so much mystery behind epilepsy, and I hate the way that we're portrayed in the media, which is like we're drooling idiots that have no cognitive function whatsoever.
Or we're drug
chronic,
addicts.
or drug addicts. There's no, like, I can't name a popular celebrity, like a music artist, an athlete, like any of these things that make epilepsy normal, even though it's like 1 in 26 of us. I hate that it's not like more advertised. And the thing is that there are a lot more epileptics that do things and do amazing things, but they don't advertise it because of the stigma.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And I really just bugs the ever living crap out of me.
I mean, I think we've all felt.
We suck at this, but it's hilarious. Go ahead. I know what I'm going to say. I won't lose it.
I was just gonna say, I feel like what's really sucky about it is almost every other, disability has someone out there to talk about it and has someone that you can look to and say, I feel like I understand this person in some way and I can relate to them. But epilepsy, so many people are afraid to say that they have it, that so many people don't have that. Like, I have people messaging me saying I feel alone when they're first diagnosed, even though if it's almost like go into any classroom and you could find 2 people with it. Like,
Right.
It's crazy.
Yeah, and it's like whatchamacallit, like what we have is, I know I'm not going to shame Lil Wayne for his lifestyle or whatever, that's not what this part is about, but the rest of the world does. So it's like they just think it's he's a drug addict. They don't think he could have been before. And I don't know what his, I don't know him, we're not friends, I don't know what he did before he came out with his epilepsy or anything like that, so no worries. But and then if they know about them, it's after they've died, so what can they relate to them?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's like just such a part that's lacking in that, especially like after I had my diagnosis, like I struggled so hard because there wasn't really anyone to talk to, and there wasn't really any like well-known celebrities or anything, like I don't want to say like a role model, but like okay, like things can be fine, not fine, like, but you can adapt, I guess is the way to put it. And then I don't know, it caused like a lot of depression and anxiety and not wanting to talk to me or meet other people. I don't know. So
Yeah, it definitely has an effect on your mental health. Like, even, I mean, I guess I know people in my personal life who have it. Just because I have it, they've told me that they have it. But like until I really started talking with Bree and everything, I went through times where I felt like no one understands me. Like it sucks.
Mm-mm. And not to
And
be like, you don't. It's like sometimes I'm sure you still have those feelings. I still do. Everybody does.
oh yeah, I'm terrified of like letting people in or kind of like I don't like planning anything that's 6 months from now because I'm like, what if I have seizures? What if I'm on a new medication? What if everything is wrong? Or what if I
Mhm.
disappoint this person? What if I let them down? Or what if they don't like me anymore in 6 months because I've had a couple seizure rounds or whatever it is, and they just don't like me anymore? Like you know
Mhm.
how you're talking about having like planning a trip next year. Like I don't
Mhm.
know if I can plan anything a year from now still because I'm so just wrapped up in the idea of like I don't want to disappoint someone or I don't know.
well, yeah,
I'm
like
still hung up
yeah,
on
my
that.
boyfriend, we're gonna actually beginning of April, he's gonna start travel nursing and I'm going with him, which is
Hmm.
really cool because I'm gonna get to start travel nursing. But at the same time, it's like he has specific days off, and those days he's gonna have specific days off. Those are the days that we can do things. And in the back of my head, I'm like, but what if I have a seizure one of those days and ruin the plans for that day? And, like I end up being that boring person on a couch. And like, I don't know what it is, but I always like, and he gets so mad when I say it now, but I'm like, am I boring? Because I think it's just been put in my head so many times from either like relationships before or friendships that kind of fell apart because I wouldn't want to do things because I was worried about having seizures. When I was having almost seizures almost every day and I was exhausted all the time, it became this like, you're boring, like put in my head almost. And now it's like, I'm
Hmm.
constantly worried about that. And it's like, especially with travel, it's like, we have these really cool like things to do around where we're staying. It's like, okay, but what if we can't do them because of me? And it like is just one of those things always in the back of my head, even when you're told like, don't worry about it. Like there will be other days, it's just one of those like, but I do worry about it because anxiety, because epilepsy.
Yeah, it's been a very slow like change for me because I to kind of seem like on surface level that I am very ADD, like everything is very last minute. Sure, like I'll go on a trip and like tomorrow I'm going to go up to Tennessee and go see some waterfalls. And they're like, "Oh, well, you're just willing to like drop everything last minute." The truth is that I've been wanting to go for weeks, but it just hasn't worked out and I haven't
Hmm.
felt great or I didn't want to go too far from home or I didn't have like the right person to be able to come with me, that kind of thing. So it looks from the outside like one way, but I really didn't travel or plan something far in advance because I'm still too like anxious and afraid to. I think
Hmm.
that would be one thing that I would tell people is like have a plan for traveling, but don't beat yourself up if you can't make that plan.
I think,
Mhm.
Like,
yeah. Sorry, did I interrupt you?
no, 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 you're good.
Okay. Because I was going to say something that I've noticed too is I feel like I have all of these plans put together. And then, like, of course, that's when a seizure hits. And I feel even more like, this is my life. This sucks. You get sucked into that. Like,
Mhm.
this sucks. I can't do anything. And I feel like when you make plans, of course, you should have plans for everything that you do. Like you said, Shelley, like, get people that know you and you're comfortable being around if something were to happen. That's extremely important to have that. Like, and that's set in stone. But at the same time, it's like, don't worry too much if it falls. Like, those people will be there for you if you say, hey, I can't do this today. Like
Mhm.
there's a reason that they're still there and other people aren't.
Right.
And as much as it sucks to lose people like down that road, the ones you end up with are much better than the ones you lost.
And I'd rather have, a good friend that would like come visit me in the hospital than some fake POS. So it's like, let's go to Disneyland and then never talk to me again. So, that's Disneyland. Yeah, that's nice to get out of the house, but I don't care if I'm like on my deathbed in the hospital and you won't come see me.
Yeah.
Like it
Yeah,
hurts.
the people that do like the hospital visits and like check up on you, those are, like the real reals
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
versus like the people are like, "Oh, I'll see you when you're out of the hospital and you're fine." Or
Thanks.
or they'll fly to another state to come get your ass because you had a seizure in Texas on your travel assignment.
Exactly. Yeah.
There you have someone to fly home with.
I
Those are the
mean,
real.
Yeah.
and other people that are like, oh, I had a seizure, like, oh, sorry, I didn't check my phone. Are you okay? 3 days later, I'm like, shut the hell up. Everyone's on their phone 24/7.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you had a seizure yourself. So shut the hell up. Because I know you didn't. So
Yeah.
no, it's just, yeah, it's one of those things people automatically think, I guess you're broken if you have a seizure or if you have epilepsy. I don't know. It's like you're kind of like I don't know, damaged goods kind of. They're afraid to bring you somewhere so you don't blow up. I'm not sure, but I've noticed definitely the amount of people that are willing to, I don't know if it's take that responsibility, risk, I don't know what it is, has definitely lessened since my epilepsy got more severe. A lot of people are scared.
I carry like a lot of shame behind it, and I'm worried if people are like ashamed to be with me somewhere or like embarrassed and kind of hesitate towards making any plans that aren't like out in nature where it really doesn't matter if you drop, because who's going to see you, a squirrel? Okay.
But the squirrel doesn't care.
The squirrel doesn't care. But like as far as like out and about, like on
Disney movie.
exactly. I'm the opposite of a Disney princess. I'll drop and then like all the animals will run away.
The one that everyone actually likes in the end.
But I definitely carry around a lot of shame from epilepsy. I feel like that comes from like when I very first got diagnosed, like my entire friend group basically dropped me because I was no longer able to do the same things that I was doing before and go out and drink and have fun. And
the not driving really hits for so many people. You notice who's willing to drive you places and who's like, I can't pick you up because I don't feel like it. It's like, really?
Yeah, even to this day, I'm still like very touchy on who I let like drive me anywhere or anything like that, because I'm like, if for some reason I lose my license, I'm afraid that like if you drive me around too much now, like you won't come to see me. Like I definitely have that fear factor of, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And it's like some people just, I mean, I've had people just straight up just stop and they're like, I just haven't been in town. And I was like, oh, well, guess what? I haven't left town. So that's not my, like, I can't get out of here. So what do you want me to do? You're the one with the license. I'm the one that it's illegal for me to drive. So.
Yeah. And the thing with my boyfriend too, like, again, those people that you find who are like willing to do something or not. Like I was, I guess, dating, not really officially, this guy, like last year, I guess 2019 now, I don't know, a little bit ago. Don't ask me dates. And he was so annoying. Like looking at the time, I was like, this is fun, like someone's agreed to go on a date with me. And looking back now, I'm like, are you kidding, Grace? Because he was like, I'll drive. He lived about 20 minutes from me. He's like, I'll drive you one way, but not the other. So you can either get dropped off here and I'll take you home, or I'll pick you up and someone can come pick you up in the morning.
Oh no.
No. I told my current boyfriend that, and he's like, what a dick. He's like, I can't believe that. My current boyfriend now lives the same distance away, has no problem picking me up, taking me home, whatever needs to happen. It's just like, you find that person who's like, okay. And it's just such a different feeling than all of the others that were ever the tiniest bit like, you can't drive. That sucks.
Grace, how long have you guys been dating?
6 months.
Okay. Yeah. I feel like when you're in relationships and you have epilepsy or I guess dating or whatever, you know what I'm saying? When you're kind of out in the pond, there are those people that you meet at first that are like, hey, babe, what's up? The typical doesn't matter. And then they find out you have epilepsy and or can't drink, and they're like, see ya.
That's why it's usually one of the first things I tell people, because I'm just like, get it out there, and then they're not surprised later. And if they're going to be a dick, it's one of the first things I learn is like, oh.
And then there's type 2 that like you tell them those things and they're like, oh yeah, it's not a big deal. And then like and then you're like, no, I don't think you understand. It really is a big deal.
Once you're invested, they realize.
Right. Well, no, I'm not even getting to the invested part yet. I'm
Oh.
talking about like just like the meeting. Like these are like the people that are like, oh, it's not a big deal. You talk to them a couple times, they're like, oh wait, you can't talk sometimes, or you had a seizure, whatever it is, you have to cancel something. And then yeah. And then eventually like you find the reals.
Yeah.
And then
So
there's
it sounds-
type 3 that coddle you and act like you need a father or a mother, if depending on who you're dating here. And it's like, okay, oh my God, you have epilepsy. Yes, I do. I'm so sorry. Okay, I've had it since I was freaking 19. Leave me alone. Oh
I
my
think
God.
I haven't attracted that type yet, but I'm hoping to avoid
Be
that type.
thankful. Ugh. It's like my current boyfriend now, we're going on like 2.5 years, and it's like I told him I had, like, for Grace said, one of the first things I told him, because I was like, well, it's like I find him very attractive, so I was like, I'll either scare him away or we'll see what happens here, type of thing. Told him, stayed around for 2.5 years. He was like, oh yeah, one of my best friends in high school had epilepsy, and I was like, all right, cool, we don't need to explain anything else. Except for I doubt you had sex with your best friend because he's a male. So when we have that situation happen, we'll see if it's still a big deal. Okay.
Yeah, it's for me the top 3 things that I would always tell people. I have I guess top 4. I have epilepsy, so that means can't drink, can't drive, and number 4 was at the time I had vaginismus. So it's like, and I can't have sex. And those 4 things would either send them running or we'd see what happened.
Mm-hmm. It's fun.
Most of the time they said it was fine and then they still ran. So
but then there's the weirdness because I'm covered in tattoos, and then they're like, oh my God, I want to take care of you in seizures, and I'm like, oh my God, no. Like the weird fetishes that come with epilepsy, I found out like down the weird rabbit hole of the
had
internet.
to deal with any weird epilepsy fetishes. I didn't know that was a thing. I don't like that.
No, I learned that from like another talk, because we were talking about like dating apps, because like I said, I had no desire to meet anyone or talk to anyone, friendship or otherwise. I was like, leave me alone, forever alone. Let me watch my K-pop dramas, and then like I started, it's true. And then like I started slowly talking to people. And this was like friends wise, not even like dating. But yeah, I don't know what I was gonna say with that. Epilepsy problems.
Yeah, I call it seizure brain. You get halfway through a sentence and you're like, and it's gone.
I know. It's
really not helpful when you're teaching small children, because they think that you're supposed to know everything, and I'm in the middle of a sentence, and then it's just like, and they're like, Miss Grace, are you okay? And I'm like, yeah,
maybe.
Just had a brain fart. Forgot what I was about to say.
No, it's like, yeah, I've had even guys that I was dating for, well, my computer's stolen, for like 1.5 years. He hadn't seen me have a seizure in person yet, but he was at his house when I had them, and then he was spending the night at my house because we went to Disneyland and we didn't get home till like 2 a.m. or something. And he had to bring me back, which he was fine with, but he lived up in Anaheim and I live about an 1.5 hours away from that. So he's like, oh, is it okay if I just stay? And I'm like, that's fine. I don't care. Wore myself out at Disneyland, had a massive seizure in my sleep, woke up in the morning at like 5 because that's how, seizures work. He was gone. I was like, I was like, did my seizure swallow you whole, or like, where'd you go, buddy? Like, what happened?
Yeah.
Did I shake so hard you fell through the earth? What happened here? Like,
you caused an earthquake, Bree.
I know, it is California. But thank you, Juju. That wasn't me. That's my dog. Sounds like I don't know what. But yeah, it's one of those, it has so much stigma attached to it. I know some guys are very afraid to take some of us, or girls, I'm just saying this because I don't date women, sorry everybody, but some guys are afraid to take me out into public, or have been in the past, because they have that stigma attached to it of like anything with the lights or sunlight or anything, it's going to cause a seizure. I'm not photosensitive. I've never had a seizure.
97% of us aren't.
I know. So
I am.
You are?
Okay.
Yeah. Hate to burst the bubble. Sorry with the conversation.
No,
well, we found a third, or not a third, math. We found one of the 3%.
Math. Also very bad at.
Ooh,
Is it
same.
an epilepsy thing? Because we're all
That's
blame
what
it
I've read a few times, and I'm gonna look more into it. And I keep saying that, but I hate math so much. I don't look into it.
see my seizures, I think, started getting worse in middle school. Around the time when algebra started, and then it just builds, and math ever since then is like just
Same.
terrible.
Impossible. Yeah. I thought you were just gonna say the algebra cause. It's like
Algebra gives me seizures.
Oh, I wish I just, sue my math teacher from 10th grade. Like she no,
I have to drop out of this class for medical reasons. What's the medical reason?
too stupid.
Your class gives me seizures.
Your class is too hard.
your class causes my brain waves to reverse. I'm sorry. I can no longer.
Just be like, no, it doesn't, and then have a seizure in the middle of the math class. I'll be like, okay, you want to deal with this all year? Fine.
The drinking thing seems to be one of the biggest things for dating. I don't know why the thing that sucks for me when I was dating is not being able to have my own ride home if I didn't want to be there.
That for me is what has always, that's why I always did something close to my house, or just even invited people over to my house, because I'm like, that way I know if something goes wrong, I'm safe.
That was the tough one. And like, I'd never want to be
this is basically just a dating part 2 thrown in some travel advice.
You know what, that's fun, because I get these questions a lot, because anytime I mention my boyfriend on whatchamacallit on Instagram, I get thousands of questions about like how he understands what we do, how we're able to, it kind of goes into one, because you go on dates with your person more than anybody that you go out with usually, so if you have one type of thing, like I would rather go on places with him than like my brother, I'm not gonna lie. So
yeah, you'd much rather like travel with your boyfriend, partner, or whatever it is, than you would travel with your friends.
Exactly. And it's like sometimes I want to get away from Anthony, but most of the time I don't, so it's okay. Like I enjoy him thoroughly, but sometimes I'm sure we part away from each other. We're 2.5 years into it now. It's kind of like, all right, see you, best friend, bye. Don't do that anymore. He's used to the fact that I have seizures. He's used to the fact that I have a lot of seizures, and he doesn't love it.
I think for some people, because when epilepsy is portrayed in movies or something, it's always someone having one seizure. You know what I mean? I think in people's minds, it's people don't have up to hundreds of seizures a day like they do in real life. I think for a lot of people, they think you have a seizure every once in a while, and for some people that's the case, and honestly I'm jealous of those people. But for others, they have them almost all the time, and I think it really takes people a lot of what's the word I'm looking for? It's really difficult for people to understand that concept. I think
there's so many challenges, because again, it's not something that's portrayed or people talk about, but like in all of our relationships, I feel like it takes so much patience for the other person on the other side, because it's not just like, oh yeah, we have epilepsy, but there's so much mental stuff behind it. Like we were already talked about, like there's anxiety there of built up of like having been rejected, or like being made to feel ashamed or feel alone, or whatever it is that sometimes you get in your own head about going on a date or going on a trip or having to cancel. That it's not just like, oh, this person I'm dating has epilepsy and they might have a seizure. It's like the rest of the stuff, which is sometimes they might be a little bit more codependent, like you have to drive them or watch out for them or look out for them because they may not be thinking clearly, or okay, maybe they might be more sensitive about this subject, or they might be afraid of planning things too far ahead, like all of these things that are not just normal boyfriend things.
Jesus Grace, get out of my head. I'm just kidding.
Oh my God. See, I forget. You go, because I need to think about what I was going to say again.
We're so good at this. It's like we bounce it out of each other's head.
I think we were saying the exact same words too. I think we were saying my boyfriend. Is that what?
I hope not. I don't want to talk about him.
Oh.
I'm just kidding. I really couldn't think. Damn it. I totally forgot. But the mental thing. Thank you. That's where I was going with that. That just came back to me. My poor boyfriend. I was actually
see?
him. The other day, okay, I was having just a random day, like I said, we've been together for years now. He knows me. Like, I can tell you what he's doing right now. We're not even talking to each other. And
is he watching DC?
Probably. He's on my HBO, ruining my life. Anyway, not really. But yeah, so I just had a day where the whole world was melting down for no reason. I was just really emotional. Might have had a seizure, I don't know. And then I realized how many I was having lately. And all of a sudden I was just like freaked out on him that like he might hate me because of the amount of seizures I was having. I just started crying and having like a mental breakdown and like sending him all this stuff. And he was just like, stop being crazy. He's like, you're like one of my best friends and I adore you. And I was like, is that all I am to you, is your best friend? And he's like, what the hell? And I'm like, God, he deserved a freaking like Nobel Peace Prize dealing with this. And like, I just came out of it. And he's just like, you good? And I'm like, yeah, we're good.
The first time I cried, the crazies later. Oh, sorry.
No, it's okay. One of the first times I cried in front of my boyfriend was for the stupidest reason too. And he had worked a 12-hour shift and then had something to go to, and I went to it with him. So he was on like, I don't know, like very, very minimal sleep. And we were having this talk and like money came up, and I, can't work a full-time job, and the job that I work, I make my own hours, but it's only a couple a day. And I was like, I don't make enough money and I'm broke. And I started like crying about this. And he was like, I didn't mean to make you feel bad. And I was like, no, it's my fault. It was like,
See, the people that date us, like, and are in relationships with us, like, deserve Nobel Peace Prizes. Yep, because they keep the peace with us. Yeah, like they deserve disability pay for like all the mental anguish that we sometimes put them through.
I'll just be blunt and say it: sleep with your partner if you have epilepsy. They deserve it. Okay.
Sleep with them often. Show your thanks in many ways.
Yes, thank you. Okay, thank you. They earned it. All right, there we go. Because like I just said, that was 10 days ago. Me and my boyfriend had that meltdown. Okay. That was not when we first started dating. That was 10 days ago. And he was just sitting there.
2.5 years into it. And you're like, I'm your best friend.
I'm just like, he hates me. Oh my God. And he was just like, I just said good morning. That's what we got from that.
I think you texted me. You were like, oh, sorry. Why are we doing this now? I'm just going to.
It's because we all get it. Yeah. The whole like, but he said good morning with a different tone and he didn't use that one nickname that I really like.
It's just so, and it's, I don't know if everybody else is temporal lobe, but mine's temporal lobe epilepsy, and that's where our emotions go. So I'm a psycho when
I was reading my like EEG stuff from my EMU stay, and it like they start in the occipital lobe is where like the things that issue, but they're like occipital tempoparietal is like where the seizures start. So it's like a mix of all my lobes. So yeah, good Lord. Yeah. Emotions definitely in there. And I do have times, not every single seizure, but there are times my dog is snoring really loudly. So that terrifies me.
Your face was hysterical. No one else gets to see it. I'm sorry, but it was funny.
Yeah. Bree, I think that day you texted me and you were like, sorry, I just freaked out. I just freaked out on him for no reason.
I did. And he was just like, he was like, are you okay now? And like, he takes it like it's been literally almost 3 years of this, because he met me right before I was up for brain surgery. So he got to go with me from, are your seizures that bad? Yeah, they're really that bad. So what are they going to do next? Okay, this is his testing step. We're cutting you open. And he got to go through all that with me. And I was like, oh, the whole time. And he was my favorite target.
Oh.
I feel horrible about it. And I tell him all the time, I feel horrible about it. He's like, I don't even remember it. I'm like, you're lying. I know you're lying.
You are lying.
I was like, you're lying. I was like, because I know you wanted to sacrifice me. I'm not kidding. I know it was bad. I was a demon. But yeah, again, I stand by what I said. Sleep with your partners and often, because this is not fun to be on the receiving end of it. Let's put it that way.
to be on the receiving, and then like when you wake up on the other side, and I do say wake up because like I feel like you do get so entrapped in like that seizure emotional cycle of, and then you're like, I suck, I hate myself, the doubt, the anger, the anxiety of like, no one's ever gonna love me, no one's ever gonna like want to spend their life with me, I suck, I'm gonna die alone, and like I don't even have cats, so just some random animal's gonna find me and eat me.
A squirrel.
Squirrel. The one, yeah, that you saw you have a seizure. The one squirrel. It's gonna be your pet. You're gonna be like Snow White.
It's gonna be some trash pandas. Let's be honest. I don't even get a squirrel. I get some trash pandas.
At least trash pandas can handle themselves. They're pretty scary. Like, but you know, it's Juju. Please stop singing along. We don't care. So my dog's just talking a lot. Yours is snoring. Mine's honking like a goose. Yeah, I get a lot of these mental health questions a lot about, do you ever feel blah, blah, blah? Do you ever, the one I got the other day was, do you ever feel like you're 100% accepting of your epilepsy and then rescind to like wanting to hate yourself? And I was like, every day, probably, at least part of the day. Like something makes me really like, I'm so sick of having this. But you know, I'm completely fine with the fact that I have epilepsy. You can tattoo, well, please don't tattoo it on my forehead, but you can tattoo epileptic on me. Like, I don't want to say, I forgot that's a thing now. Takashi 69 put that in there, but like, I don't care. You can tattoo it on me, but
I have an epilepsy tattoo, but
I do too.
But there are days where I'm so, and a lot of times I don't know why it's driving for me. I'll be perfectly fine. I call it my once a month breakdown. I did have it
at least once a month.
Once a month. I get so frustrated that I can't drive myself somewhere, and it's like, I swear, it's like 2 minutes every time, and I just start bawling, and I'm like, why can't I do anything? And then I'm fine. But it's like,
I get angry. I start crying. So I usually angry cry. That's what I do. I like hold it in. As
I've gotten older, I've definitely angry cried more than I've sad cried.
Yeah, I don't like to be, I don't know. I'm
I
like,
get not even angry, like more frustrated cry.
Yeah.
Like I'm like a toddler, I get frustrated that I can't do something, and instead of using words to cope, I just start crying.
And like you said, it's usually over the stupidest thing. It's like
I've accepted the fact I can't drive. I know I'll never drive, but there's one thing.
Look who made it onto the screen. Hello, dog. Her big head. No, it's usually not over even anything like, oh, I want to go to my friend's house and I can't drive. It's like something like, I want In-N-Out and I can't get it. I'm pissed off.
I cried because I couldn't have Krispy Kreme one day.
See, it's over.
And then I felt bad because my dad was out and he asked what I wanted, and I said Krispy Kreme, and he drove to like 8 different gas stations looking to see if they had Krispy Kreme, and I was like Googling like, does this store have Krispy Kreme? And I was like sobbing. Aww. He was out for like 2 hours, and he finally got them. And I was like, I'm sorry, I was such a bitch over donuts.
Spoken like a true woman. Like, oh my God.
I wish I was like, I think I'm just like not at that point. In my epilepsy journey where I'm like, oh, I'm gonna cry because I'm frustrated and I'm angry. Like I still won't like let myself cry over it. I'm like, no, you can't cry. You're really lucky. Like I still haven't gotten to the point where I'm like, oh, this shit sucks kind of point. I'm at the turn and burn. Like if I basically am like, oh, I'm upset about this, so I'm never going to do it again or talk about it again. I'm going to deny it ever happened. Or like if it's with a person, I'm going to be like, basically, I don't want you to be in my life anymore because you might make a judgment on me. So peace out. Like versus like actually explaining the human emotions that are going on.
Yeah.
Like I'm still learning to kind of communicate which I didn't have the thing is that before I really didn't have that problem. Like I was pretty vocal about my feelings and emotions. And then so with epilepsy, I feel like everything has just become so mixed up in my head of what emotions are real. And I doubt those emotions that are coming through. And to kind of relate that to traveling somehow, like I feel like that's something that I struggle with traveling is that I don't, with epilepsy, like I still kind of try to convince myself that things will be fine, even though that they may not be fine. And I've had to, as I've gone through traveling, kind of become more and more aware of that I can't do that. if that makes any sense.
No, it does. And with a lot of the people, like my other friends that don't have epilepsy, that don't understand this, you're going to have them regardless. So, or you're not going to have them regardless. So if I have the opportunity to go to, say a different country or a different state or something like that, and I'm like, you know what, I might have a seizure, so I'm not going to go sit at home and I don't have one the entire time, I'm going to be so pissed at myself. Because if you do go and you might not have one there, you get to go. But if you have one, go to sleep for a day, it's not that bad. So,
And
it happens.
One thing I will say about traveling that I'm really looking forward to is that, and I know like I won't be able to get out of the house every day, but with where I am now, there's so many times I don't get out of the house, and I don't know if it's just because I feel like everything around me, so many things are still closed, but like worth seeing, I've seen already, and I'm just feeling lazy. So it's like, oh, I've done that already. I don't really want to, again, like the lazy factor, but like just being somewhere different can give you like a good sense of where you really are. Like if you're in the same bed, like, yeah, thank you. Words are hard, but like
one complete brain. We got
the three of us together.
Yes. 3 parts.
Yep.
99%. Okay, I'm done.
It's like I feel like just laying in the same spot all the time, and I can't, like, I can go sit outside at my house, but I can't drive myself somewhere different. I feel like it'll be really good to see different things, and I'm just excited for that part of it, because I think being where you always have the seizures, or you always have the meltdowns about the seizures, or that can really affect you mentally too.
Yeah. And it's, when I'm stuck in I usually like to stay in my room more so than hang out with people in Southern California anyway. But that's a different conversation. But even being in the same 4 walls all the time, you just start to like harp on yourself and start to analyze and judge yourself and your epilepsy. Me too. So I'm like, I just sit here and it's like, well, if you didn't have epilepsy, blah, 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 and it's like, but you know what? I do. So get over it. It's a game I get to play with myself all the time. And everyone, like, again, people, I'm sure you get this question, Grace, a lot, like, are you okay with your epilepsy? You're so open with it. Why are you having a bad day? Yeah, I'm open with it, but
it doesn't mean I don't struggle.
Yeah, it doesn't mean stuff doesn't get hard. And no offense to my almost 7,000 followers, I appreciate you guys to death, but I don't know you like I know my best friend, my boyfriend, and my mother. So when I'm having a really, really, really bad day, you're probably not going to hear about it.
And that's the thing about social media is you can, like you were talking about, Chelle, like you can post what you want other people to see. You don't.
Yeah, I learned really quickly with the writing, because I was doing like a lot of writing that was epilepsy based, and I had to take like a really hardcore like 3-month break because people were sending me things that were like I felt so much responsibility because people were sending me things like, how do I deal with this? Like asking for medical advice, because I have on there that I'm a nurse, and like asking me how, and then asking me about like feelings and all this other stuff. And then I just honestly, like, I'm still processing the fact that I have epilepsy. I have no actual advice for you other than the fact that I don't know. And I guess like the whole traveling and hiking, I'm like, I'm literally doing this as a coping mechanism for the fact that my life has been changed forever. And that my entire, like, my mom died last year. So my family is gone. Like everyone that was it, I have my friend base. And that was kind of like, they were very close to me because all I had was my mom. And then when I had my seizure and basically lost most of my friends, but not like weren't like, peace out, you have epilepsy, you suck now. They're like, oh, I'm so sorry.
But then they kind of fade.
Yes, they do the slow fade. Oh my God.
Mm-hmm.
I wish people would just like cut it off and be like, I can't see myself being friends with you long term, or I can't see myself in whatever it is.
Yeah, just rip the Band-Aid off. Just go.
Yeah, exactly.
You have the faders, then you have I call them darters. They come in and out of your life when it's convenient for them, but aren't there when you need them.
Exactly.
those people, I've started to even lose patience for those people because I'm like, I have way too much going on in my damn life to deal with whenever you want to take up my time. I'm not gonna lie.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, because usually during those times, I just want to stare at my wall or something stupid. Like, I don't, and then you get all mad at me because it's like, I texted you and you didn't answer me. It's like, hey, you texted me for the first time in 3 freaking years, dude. I don't care. How are you
Yep.
doing? Still have epilepsy. How are you? Like, what do you want me to say? Still in the same place you saw me last time. Guarantee it. I can't move out of this house right now. Like, and they're like, oh, I'm sorry. Okay,
And then
glad
you
we
don't
had
hear
that
from me again.
conversation.
Yeah.
Glad we had that. Like, sorry, like it's gonna sound rude and people are gonna be like, you should talk to everyone that supports you. No, there's a person that flutters by and then there's support. There's somebody that just like, and there's people that check up on you to see, oh shit, how good are they doing? Because if they're doing worse than I am, I feel great about myself. So don't even get it twisted like everyone wants to be your friend. Shut up. The world's not Disney. It's not that cute. So I hate
Correct.
to.
And the people that
you
are
find it out.
following you and supporting you.
You find out really hard and really quickly when you have something as severe and chronic as epilepsy of who those people are. And I will call that a blessing and a curse at the same time.
Oh, yeah.
I hate it, but I love it at the same time because any reservations I had about, friendships or people before I got my brain surgery, that was the definitive moment. I was like, all right, you are a SOF. Let's just put it that way. Sacco F. So I just had my head cut open and might not have lived it. And they were just kind of like, I was too scared to text you. You were scared? Was your head getting cut into, please? Like, shut your mouth. Get out of here. I didn't want to cause a seizure. You could have. I was with a bunch of epileptologists and neurosurgeons. It'd be okay.
That would be the place to do it.
They might tweak something, be like, oh, yeah, that's not right. F off. Like, people are just so dumb. And that goes for dating too. And like, people that are just like, oh, I don't know if I can take care of you. You don't need to take care of me. I have a doctor.
With me getting ready to move soon, I've reached out to friends a couple times, and I have 1 or 2 friends, good friends, who I've said, hey, I only have like 3 weeks left until I leave. I'd love to see you. I haven't heard a word from them. Friends that I didn't get to see often, but I'm still close with, are like, hey, when can I see? You know what I mean? And it's just like those people that I thought I was really close to are silent now. It's like, you don't want to see me before I leave? Okay.
And I'm to the point where it's like, I'll give them like a few chances and I'm like, all right, moving on. So I don't care anymore. It's just wasted energy, like I said, that I don't have guaranteed because I have seizures constantly and seizure activity going on in my head. So to me, you're just like a fly on the wall that I'm like, later, moving on. Like, I don't care anymore. Yeah. And
I haven't gotten to the point where I don't care. Like, I definitely still struggle. And I think that's why I don't let a lot of people in, is because I care like almost too much about it. Like, it still really messes with like my confidence, and it really messes with like my identity again, because I feel like you were in different stages, because like you've had it for a while. And you've had kind of like people kind of come in and out, and I'm still at the point where I'm like, okay, when is this going to cause like permanent lasting damage? When is another friend or another, like when is someone going to leave me type thing? And how badly is it going to break me? And so I'm like, well, if I just not close with anyone, I'll be fine.
I'm kind of in the middle of you two, because Bree's had it for about 12 years. You've had it for 3, and I've had it about 6 or 7, or I've been diagnosed for 6 or 7. We think I've had it longer.
Same.
Like they put the RX or the DX on it when I was 17, 18, but I'm like, looking back, I'm like, that kind of sounds like epilepsy. But I mean, you can't count the rings on the tree. It just, oh well.
Yeah, there's definitely like a couple of moments like in 5th grade where I somehow wound up in the clinic, and I was like, and the teacher was mad at me, like, you just disappeared. And I was like, I know I asked to go to the clinic. And like everyone's like, the entire class swore that they saw me in the room and that I didn't ask. I just up and left. I'm like, I don't remember that. And I have no recollection of that. And I'm like, that was probably a seizure moment. Just saying.
Yep. We found video from when I was about 5 that looked like almost everyone watching it was like, pause it. And we were like, go back. We were like, that's definitely a seizure. Like my sister was playing baseball in like our little street where we were growing up, and I was sitting there picking grass, and all of a sudden I like interesting things are happening with my sister, and I'm just facing the other way, just like pick, pick, pick with the grass. And we're like, well,
Yeah, it's like it's stuff like that I wonder, like, how will you stop slapping me, dog? Just see a giant paw coming at my face. It's just, yeah, there's stuff like that from when I was a kid. Like I would fall all the time, and I'm still really clumsy, but I'm like, some of it was just way too stupid to be me tripping. You
see,
know,
Shelley, that's what scares me, is I'm such a klutz. I feel like I'd fall down a mountain if I were hiking.
I don't go, like, you could ask the people, like I go hiking a lot with it's like a small group of people. It's Rachel and Jax and Charlie. Like Charlie, they're like all tagged like on my Instagram, like the people that I go hiking often with. And you could ask any one of them, and I fall down and trip and slide down hills, and like I don't really hurt myself. But if you think I'm graceful, I'm not. Like I have like the boots that like have like ankle supports with them, because I would turn an ankle otherwise, and like I trip on roots all the freaking time. Like it's not
me all the time.
I'm not like one of these graceful like adventure gram hikers that like I'm just up there like chilling. No, like
It took a lot of effort to get to where I am in this picture.
And a lot of like bruises. Like I'll just look at my legs sometimes and be like, "Yep, I went hiking this weekend."
See, I just look at my legs and go, how did that happen? Because I was laying in bed.
No, it means I must have gotten out of bed this weekend. Shit. All right. It's like, no, I'm very clumsy. I've had a lot of people tell me that they're very clumsy too. I wonder if that's an epilepsy thing.
Probably. It probably messes with our balance or whatever.
That's terrible. I do yoga almost
the
every
meds 100% mess with our balance. My and stamina, like heart rate. I don't know if you guys have noticed, like I am so tachycardic all the time.
Yes.
That
I'll be laying in bed and my heart will just pump heavy, and I'm like, whoa, what the hell is that about?
It's funny that you mentioned this, because I thought I was going crazy the other day. I took a nap and I like rolled over and my heart was beating so fast, and I was like, am I dying?
Yep. And that can be another challenge with like traveling, working, and hiking, like all those things.
I was hiking up a small hill with my boyfriend one day. It was a small incline. And I said, can you check my pulse? He was like, oh my God. You're fine. I was like, am I though?
But that's like, they think that's where SUDEP comes into play, because it messes with our heart. So
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, tachycardic. Like I was hiking with Charlie like 6 months ago, and we were at like 4 months ago we were at Cloudland, and I could like we were going up like these sets of stairs, and I was like, we have to pause. Like I have to pause. And I was on Kepra at the time, and my heart rate was like 206. Like I was actually wearing a watch, and I was like, oh well, if I die on you, I'm sorry. Like I know we're like
give my body to the trash pandas.
Give my body to the squirrels. But then I went out like a couple of months later, and this was like what I was talking about with the conditioning thing. And I was out with my friend Nikki and Jax, and Nikki has epilepsy too. And I've gotten more stamina, and she was hiking for like the first time, and we were in Sedona, and she like her heart rate was like beating through her chest, and she was like, is this normal? And I was like, completely 100% yes. Like on these medications, when you first start doing anything physical, you feel like absolute poop on a stick.
Yeah.
I was rolling over after a nap. That's a little sad.
Your exercise for the day. No, it's weird. And I thought, because heart problems run in my family, like my grandfather died of a heart attack and all that stuff. So I'm sitting here, I'm freaking out. I'm like, what's going on? So it's like, I don't overexert myself, because it can get really dangerous.
What's even more interesting is I went through drug withdrawal in the EMU coming off of trileptal, and I had heart palpitations. And it was so annoying. And so it's like every time I moved, my heart was like beep, beep, beep. And I was like, stop it.
Oh, I know.
Coming off of Keppra was like having an exorcism.
That was
It's horrific.
No, Bree's been through that. She could tell you the same thing because I thought it was Keppra at the time because I felt terrible and I was texting her and I couldn't sleep. It was awful. And I told the nurse because I had to pee one time and I was like, I'm shaky. Like I just stood up and like every part of me was just shaking and I was nauseous. And she's like, that's why we lower the trileptal so slowly because this is what it does to you. So for me, it was the trileptal, but
Topamax and Keppra were the worst to me. I felt like literally, like God stole my soul and was like, this is your punishment for every bad thing you've ever said in your life.
Oh, Bree, that's terrible. You have
I know.
so much.
That's how bad. Exactly. That's how bad it was. Because you know how my mouth is. It was effed up, y'all. It was bad. I was shaking, sweating, cold sweating, vomiting, seizing. It was, oh my God. Why do drug addicts exist? It's miserable. I don't get it. Ugh. It would hurt so bad. It was bad. And the meds I've noticed, also a note, if you go out of country, some meds are not available in other countries. So you need to bring your own medication with you. I don't know what just made me think of that out of nowhere.
So
We're talking about traveling. That's why.
I don't even know. That's how my brain works.
You're like, also in other countries.
Yeah, I don't know. I literally looked at my phone. There's not even a text on my screen, and that's what I thought of. So that's how my brain works. I don't know, but it's true because I guess one or two of them that I'm taking here, if people have asked me about it and they're like, we don't have that in my country. And I'm like, oh, okay. Well, that sucks, but I don't so I'm good. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, I don't know what else to say besides sorry.
Sorry, take another one, like my bad. But yeah.
Chelle, do you have anything that you'd like to add? We should probably wrap it up here. It's been like an hour and a half.
Don't want to make our listeners hate us.
Yeah, don't hate. Trash pandas and squirrels, stay away from them. If you're out hiking, like don't leave your body for them.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And epilepsy isn't good. Wouldn't go well together.
I have a question. Oh, sorry. With the photosensitivity, are there times that you can't hike because the sun through the trees? Because I know people can't drive at certain, be in the car at certain times with the sun through the trees.
Or the snow sparkling off of the.
Are there certain times that you can't hike?
If I'm photosensitive, I'm almost guaranteed to have a seizure that day, and so I won't. I'm not photosensitive all the time.
Interesting.
So it's kind of like a pre sign for me. I'll get photosensitive and then I'll get a headache, and maybe half the times that I have a headache, I'll wind up having a seizure.
Oh, okay. So those days you just avoid hiking in general?
I don't go anywhere. No. If I'm moody, which is kind of like one of those 50-50 things, but if I'm moody,
I'm
never sensitive. Or I just feel off, my balance is really off, then I won't go, or the people that know me well won't let me go. Yeah. So I don't know the answer to that question, but if I'm feeling photosensitive, I wouldn't I don't know. I invest in sunglasses.
Yeah, there are those. And you know what? I hate to be this person that's going to hate this answer, but there are helmets for epilepsy if you really are not worried about it.
100%. I was going to say that. Helmets when hiking. If you are epileptic and you fall down, there is no one that's going to care whether or not, photo wise, Instagram, whatever it is, whatever stigmas, if you are going to go out and travel and you're going to do these things, freaking take care of yourself, because no one else is going to care. You're not going to look back at these memories if you don't have a brain because you smushed it going down the mountain because you weren't wearing a helmet. You're not going to be like, oh, remember that one time I climbed in Zion, but I didn't have my helmet and then I died.
Right.
Be smart. Don't try to be like other people. Be the best version of yourself, which includes taking care of yourself and being smart about your meds, your precautions, bringing the right people. That's how you travel. That's how you do this stuff. is
Or
you
even
take care of yourself.
even I know how to swim very well. I still put a life jacket on because if I have a seizure, my friend can't waddle over to me really quickly, I'm gonna drown.
Right,
So
exactly.
just don't be an ass about it. I know you want to have fun and you're, what's that whole your eyes are bigger than your stomach type of thing, but don't do that. It's not a good idea because you want to be able to travel again, not have it be your final resting place.
Yeah.
Correct. Correct.
Yes. So thank you for tuning.
Thank you
turning
so
this
much.
into a very widespread topic because this answered a lot of questions that we've gotten over the course of like, gosh, I don't know, 3 weeks, I would say. The ones I get we get all the time. I don't want to speak for you, Grace, but I get all the time about traveling, dating, mental health, stigma, blah, 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 blah.
It's
So
interesting if you think about it, they all kind of go together. They all have
you do
similar
because,
answers.
yeah,
I mean, I would sum up all of them with just
well-being,
what's best for you and don't be an idiot.
yeah, in general well-being, like some people
Don't be an idiot should be a bumper sticker for epileptics.
I think just
should be a
everyone,
bumper
but
sticker for the world. Won't get that lucky, but maybe we can get the
Can we be don't be a
65
shaky
million
idiot?
right? Don't make
Oh,
shaky
we should-
decisions.
Don't make
Oh, I
shaky
like that one.
Yeah, I do like that.
Hey, that could be our logo. All right. Yeah, no, again, I doubt, we will add her profile so you can see some awesome photos that she's taken, and I highly doubt she won't ignore you if you have any specific questions that we didn't think of. So
I will not ignore.
all right, my dog's signing us off. All right.
Juju says it's time to go.
Juju says she wants food.
Okay,
All
thanks for having me.
Thank you so much, Chelle.
Thank you. Bye.
Okay, bye, guys.